What if the reason you're exhausted is not just the result of how much you're doing, but also when you are doing it? In this episode, we're talking about natural cycles, lunar calendars, and why your ancestors were onto something powerful when they planned their lives around the moon and in harmony with nature. A lunar calendar tracks the moon's 29-day cycle, from the stillness of the new moon through the building energy of the first quarter to the peak of the full moon and back into the harvest phase of the last quarter. I want to introduce you to this concept of the lunar cycle, not as something mystical, but as something genuinely practical. We'll talk through the four main phases of the moon, what kind of energy each one carries, and how you can begin using a simple lunar calendar to bring more flow, more rest, and more intentionality into your everyday life. Kia ora and hello. Welcome to the Living Life Well podcast. I'm Janine Lattimore, a wellbeing writer and coach, providing information and inspiration to make daily health and happiness simple. What if exhaustion isn't a personal failing, but a design flaw in modern life? For most of human history, people woke with the sun, rested with the seasons, and planned their months around the moon. Then, in the space of just a few generations, we traded all of that in for artificial light, air conditioning, and the relentless expectation of constant productivity. Our bodies haven't forgotten what they evolved for, though. They are still listening for rhythms that our minds have stopped paying attention to. This podcast is an invitation to return to attending to those natural rhythms. Your body never left nature. The human body developed in connection with nature. We are evolved mammals. It has only been in the last 200 to 300 years, since the Industrial Revolution, that human beings have been living life significantly disconnected from the natural world. Our biology still works best in connection with nature and in harmony with natural cycles. The mitochondria in our cells are powered by sunlight. Exposure to long wavelengths red light from early morning sunlight improves mitochondrial function and cellular energy. Your body runs most effectively when your inner clock, your circadian rhythm, is set according to the rising and setting of the sun. The electrical system of the human body is balanced when it connects to the earth. As we move about on this physical plane, our bodies give and receive charge from the things we interact with and build up static electrical charge. When we touch the earth, we dispel this positive charge into the negatively charged earth, ridding our body of static and balancing our electrical state. Nature flows in cycles. Much of the energy in nature moves in cycles, and it is that which I want to focus on for this podcast. The seasons, tides, plant growth, the growth of the human body, and the orbit of the moon and planets all move through cycles of increase and decrease, ebb and flow, waxing and waning, new life to death. We can see this as a flow of energy from low to high to low. From rest and decay, new life rises. Here is a summary of the key cycles in nature and how they connect. The seasonal cycle of winter, spring, summer, autumn can be seen to correlate to the plant growth cycle of planting, growing, blooming and fruiting, and setting seed, the moon cycle of new moon, first quarter, full moon, last quarter, and the human development cycle of baby, child, adult, elder. I will put an infographic in the show notes that illustrates these cycles. Why modern life exhausts us. I have always loved nature and desired to live in harmony with it. That can be challenging when you live in an industrialized city. One thing we can do, though, is come back to living our lives in terms of natural cycles. Modern city life tends to create conditions where our minds and bodies are called to be constantly on or in action. Even when we sleep, there is still a lot of artificial light around us, which our bodies are reading. We can liken this to trying to live in a perpetual summer or perpetual state of growth and blooming, which uses a lot of energy without allowing for recharge. This exhausts us physically, mentally, and emotionally. Natural cycles build in necessary restoration time and make no apology for it. We can shift to flowing with this on a monthly and daily basis. Rest is part of the process of production. A simple way to incorporate an element of natural flow into our daily lives is to set the intention to purposefully incorporate a regular time of rest and recharge into each day and each week. I have been doing this for the last few months with what I call Sacred Sunday. I aim to keep Sundays free from work, and I call it my choice day. It is the day I do what I want to do rather than what I need to do or have to do. My partner also has this as his rest day, and we often do recreational things together. If a whole day of rest seems unmanageable for you, then you could plan in a morning or afternoon or simply 1 hour a week that is your time to rest and be nourished. Begin with whatever you can. The important part is to start with doing something regularly. In terms of a daily rest break, I plan in just a 5-minute meditation break every day. Sometimes I will sit in meditation for longer once I have begun, but 5 minutes feels manageable to me, and that helps with motivation to do it every day. Even my busy brain can pause for only 5 minutes, and 5 minutes of pause and breath work is enough to give my body and mind a mini reset. Working with the moon. The next step I am taking in terms of incorporating a natural energy cycle into my life is by creating a daily planner that works in harmony with the lunar cycle. Human beings have done this throughout history, and most traditional people groups have some form of lunar calendar. Here in New Zealand, the Māori call theirs Maramataka. The names change, but there is a fairly consistent basic energy flow assigned to the phases of the moon. The new moon signals a time of rest, personal care, and dreaming. As the moon grows through the first quarter, the energy is one of building, working on projects, and collaborating with people on tasks. The full moon brings a time of high energy, where things are sent out into the world. It is the time of blooming and fruiting. Following the full moon is a time for harvest and evaluation and preparation for the time of dreaming and visioning with the next new moon. The moon cycle and the menstrual cycle. If you are a woman or have a female body, the energy of the moon can also be connected to the menstrual cycle. The new moon is connected with menstruation and the full moon with ovulation. Menopausal women can use the lunar cycle for hormonal balance. Following the lunar flow of energy can help menopausal women to stay balanced hormonally as well as mentally and emotionally. If you want to read more about this, then I highly recommend John Gray's book, Beyond Mars and Venus. The seasons as symbols for the lunar cycle. As I've already mentioned, the phases of the moon can also be metaphorically linked to the seasons. The new moon equates to winter, the first quarter phase to spring, the full moon to summer, and the last quarter phase to autumn. I find that making this connection helps me to understand the energy phases of the moon more fully. To take all this and make it practical in terms of planning, here is an overview of the 4 main energy phases of the lunar cycle and what activities connect to each phase. A lunar calendar outlines what the phases of the moon are and when they occur, and knowing what activities connect to each phase gives you a balanced framework for managing your life. What to do during each moon phase. The new moon is a time to rest, visualize, and plan. It's a time to rest and nourish yourself and build your energy reserves. New moon energy is creatively fertile, so it's also a time to plan, dream, and to plant seeds and intentions for the future. The first quarter moon is a time to build and grow. This is the time to begin to flesh out more of the details of your goals and visions. It's a time to engage in creative research and building and productive work. It's also time to focus on cooperation and collaboration. And towards the end of this period, take some time to review and edit what you've been working on during this phase. The full moon phase is a time to embody and release. It's the time for putting projects out into the world. So, thinking, pitching, selling. It's also a time to release any projects or maybe relationships that are not working or not aligned with your values. It's a good time to prioritize your closest relationships, particularly your romantic partnerships. And it's also a good time to engage in expressive outward creativity. The last quarter phase of the moon is a time to harvest, appreciate, and evaluate. It's a good time to connect socially with friends and people you care about. It's a time to review and consolidate and celebrate. This also might involve recording and analyzing data. It's a good time to look at your bank accounts and analyze your financial budgets. And it's also a time to restore, recharge, and to reflect on what you've done over the past month in preparation of the next new moon. During this time, you might want to check in with what your goals and intentions are and track how you're going with those. The simplest way to use this information is to mark the day of each new moon and each full moon on a yearly or monthly calendar, and then to plan rest around the time of the new moon and high energy activities around the time of the full moon. If you engage in work or business planning, then you can use the full lunar cycle structure that I've just talked about to arrange activities. How to create natural rhythms in a modern world. Returning to natural cycles doesn't require abandoning modern life. You can simply weave moments of intentional rhythm back into it. Start small. It may be just protecting 1 hour of rest each week, or noticing where the moon sits in its cycle and letting that awareness gently shape how you spend your energy. Allow rest to be seen as a natural and healthy part of the process of growth and success. Trust that it is okay to experience all seasons in your life because they each play an important role. Listen to Mother Nature. She knows what she is doing, and she knows what you need to thrive. Just one thing. This week's Just One Thing action point to help you turn information into transformation through implementation is to reflect on how you could regularly incorporate blocks of rest into your week or day. So, for example, this might be to have a me time hour scheduled for one evening every week, or it may be to listen to a 5-minute meditation in the car when you get home from work to regulate your nervous system before joining your partner or family. You could start setting aside Sundays as sacred rest days, or choose to eat your breakfast each morning while watching the birds and trees out the window. Choose just one thing that is manageable for you and then set the intention to do it regularly and keep returning to it. Or adjust it if it isn't working, because giving yourself permission to change your mind is also part of self-care. Thanks for listening to this episode of Living Life Well. If you found this interesting or helpful, then please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment or review. This supports me and also helps other people find this information and benefit from it. Thank you for being part of the Living Life Well community. Wishing you a life lived fully and well. Aroha nui, much love, and I look forward to connecting again on the next episode. Bye for now.